Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to
He's taken another one and Howard Foster has stopped it. Wow, that is going to be controversial.
That's a crunching right hand, and that must finish it. It must finish it.
Taylor trying to catch himself, using his jab, eats a right hand, another right hand, and he goes down. Oh my goodness!
The dream is made real. Ricky Hatton rocks the world with a truly stunning win over a modern legend. He is the champion of the world.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for listening to Raps on TV podcast. We're here discussing the latest news in boxing. I'm here with Inam and Dinaz. Inam, you want to say hello?
Yeah, hi everybody. Just want to say thank you for dialing in, and to those guys that called in last week as well, and being very interactive on our social media.
Hey guys, good to be back. You can call me Mystic D today because any of you that listened last week know I predicted this, but let's carry on and let's go straight into Kovalev and Ward.
So, Mystic D, as you quite rightly said that there could be a potential for trilogy last week, and we had a cracking fight. We're going to dive straight into it. So we had Ward versus Kovalev over in Las Vegas, fighting for the light heavyweight championship. So guys, what did you think? Inam, what was your thoughts on this?
Well, this is something that boxing fans have been waiting for weeks. You know, it's left the boxing community polarised on both sides. Everybody's trying to guess what's going to happen. Is Kovalev going to knock out Ward, or Ward's supreme intelligence going to overcome that? I thought it was just a fantastic build-up to the fight. Controversial ending, a lot to talk about that, and yeah, it's just a intriguing fight overall.
Yeah, and Dinaz?
I agree. I also thought it was a controversial ending. I've heard a lot of people call it a robbery. I'm not too sure I agree with that, but yeah, it was definitely a fight for the ages, and more than anything, as you know, I'm happy that in my opinion, there has to be a rematch, so that, you know, those rematches usually lead to a trilogy. So
yeah, so just touching on the fight. So we started off as 2-3. We had to start watching the undercard. 4 o'clock, the fight started, and then second round. That's the best way to put it. Ward got knocked down. Very rarely have we seen that. I think, speaking for myself, I was on the edge of my seat thinking, "Wow, what is going to happen here?" And he went on to win the fight. To talk about the scoring on how I saw the fight, personally, I gave the first 2 rounds to Kovalev. Then I think the third round, I think Ward just edged it, and then in between, and I'll talk about those rounds later on, I thought they were very close. But overall, I had scored the fight 114, 113 in the favour of Ward. That was my personal scoring. Inam?
Yeah, I had a very similar kind of thing. And when I saw Ward go down, I mean, you know, Coach, I was like a big Ward fan. My heart just went to my mouth. I'm like, oh my God. And the way Kovalev started those first two rounds, for me, I thought, this guy's too big for Ward. That was my initial impression.
He did look much bigger compared to the weigh-in on a Friday, right?
Yeah, and I just thought, is he going to get overwhelmed, or is that supreme intelligence this guy's got going to come round? And I think it did. You know, third round, I think he'd adjusted, got his range just about right. And yeah, it just took control. For me, he took control for the rest of the fight. You know, his range was really, really good. His inside of fighting was better than Kovalev's, I thought. Mm-hmm. And I thought he won by 2 rounds at least.
Okay, so what, 115, 113?
114, 112, yeah.
112, okay, perfect. And Dinaz?
that's interesting because I have the same score.
Yes.
But for the other guy.
Kovalev.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had it, I think I had rounds 1 to 4 all for Kovalev.
Okay.
And then after that, they more or less alternated.
Yeah.
So 5 went to Ward, 6 went to Kovalev. I was really impressed by the way Ward closed the gap and rallied at the end, but I just thought it was too little too late. But you guys can imagine, because we didn't watch the fight together, but you guys can imagine, I was just licking my chops thinking, there's going to be a rematch. We're going to see this again.
You wasn't bothered about the result in terms of...
I mean, that's how I am as a fan of any combat sport.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really look for my favourite fighters and stuff. Obviously, I have the guys I like to watch, but I'm not too fussed about records. I'm a fan of Ward. I'm a fan of Kovalev. That will never change. I just want to see these fights. We've been... You know, after the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight, how many people were talking about a rematch in terms of anything other than money?
Yes.
People just like, wow, he made, I think it was like 300 million.
Yep.
let's do it again. This is different. People are saying that was a wicked fight.
Yeah.
Let's do it again. Let's see these two. You know, it's like the unstoppable object versus the immovable force. And I
100%.
that more than anything, that fight was amazing.
Yeah, and just touching on what you said around the rematch and why people are calling for it, I think you're very right. People are calling for this rematch because they want to see the technical ability of both boxers. For me, there wasn't really a loser. Okay, somebody's got an L on their record because they were both undefeated going into this fight. But I think they both came out with a massive amount of credits. I think the community is very much split, a lot down to what you like and what you perceive as winning points, and a lot as people recognising being able to steal points and be able to get yourself back into a fight. So for me, I think both of them have secured their legacy, and I can only hope that the rematch happens. So in terms of the fight, you know, do you guys want to tell me which rounds outside of the second round you thought was key? You know, the second round we know was Kovalev knockdown. Outside of that, what round did you see secure the decision for the fighter, if any?
I mean, I thought from round 5, 6 onwards, I just thought Ward had just taken control. You know, I really didn't see what Kovalev was doing to start winning these rounds. So for me, it was around that kind of time of the fight that the fight started changing the favour of Ward.
Yeah. And Dinez?
For me, more than anything, maybe you guys can refresh me on what round it was, but I call it the Battle of the Bolo Punch.
10th round.
10th round.
Yes.
I mean, what was it, 5 a.m. nearly by that point, and I'm just seeing these two. We were calling Ward like a technical boxer. Yeah. He threw that half bolo punch and then jam.
He ate a jab, and you know, I thought that was actually quite a telling point to the fight because Ward was clearly getting more confidence. He was dropping his hands, you know, he was doing a lot more slips and becoming more evasive. But there was a bit of arrogance in that move, and Kovalev just
you can't
punched him in the face and just said, "Stop that."
One thing that you should know when you're facing someone like Kovalev, he's not going to be like put off by those, you know, flashy Sugar Ray moves.
Yes.
It's a bit out of character for Ward as well. I can't remember. I think I heard Virgil Hunter get in his ear about that, but yeah, I don't think he'll be doing that in the rematch.
No, 100%.
And there will be a rematch.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to add, you know, like I saw the interview that he done with Sky after the fight, and what he was saying is towards the end of the fight, you could see Kovalev's psychological strength starting to wane. And, you know, we've never seen Ward do stuff like that. So I'm thinking, like, why is he doing this? And for me, I think he was doing it just to frustrate Kovalev even more.
Yep.
You know, just to wind him up, you know. So when he's angry, he's not thinking. If he's not thinking, he's not punching. You know, so that's, it's a great point.
100%. And I think another interesting thing about that fight was the way, I think if you look at who won rounds, I think it's clear for me, Kovalev won rounds more convincingly in terms of when he let go with a 1-2 or a jab. I think he landed those shots and Ward was kind of taken aback, and you could see that. Whereas Ward was being able to nick it by being very clever, jab to the body, stops Kovalev moving forward. You know, he gets up close, clinches, uppercuts to the body, throwing hooks to the head, and I felt that's where the accumulation of those kinds of punches won him the points. But, you know, that was a great fight. As Dinez said, we look forward to the rematch. So I can see we've got a couple of callers on the line. So in terms of callers, number 561, we're coming out to you now. Hello, 561?
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you. Who are we speaking with?
You're speaking to Cedric.
Hi, Cedric. Cedric from last week?
From last week, yes, indeed.
Good. I'm glad you could call back because we do have you as a Kovalev prediction. And tell me what you thought about the fight.
Well, to be perfectly honest, my initial thought was I actually thought it was a Kovalev win, and I think my first comment to anyone was probably something along the line of effing Nevada Athletic Commission.
Okay, I understand.
No, but the reason for that being that watching it initially or watching it firsthand, the way that I'd actually watched it, and I was watching the HBO coverage, from my perspective, I pretty much had seen it as 6-6 But with the knockdown, I actually saw it to Kovalev. Mm-hmm. I think that he did go sleep especially after the fifth round. He didn't do all of that much, but again, it's a question of fine margins. And anyone who had actually spoken to or had seen, or any interviews I'd seen afterwards, I think it's one of those few fights in life whereby the community was so divided in terms of what they saw and how they had actually scored it.
Yep, 100%. So, obviously, you've said you've given it to Kovalev. Do you want to see a rematch?
I think I do, because this wasn't decisive enough for me. I don't think that the margins were definitive enough for us to suddenly be able to move on from that fight. I think there's still a lot to be proved. I think that both Ward and Kovalev need to get back in the ring and actually probably have a more definitive fight. And maybe even a third one. I mean, it could simply be that the margin between these two fighters are so small. I mean, a lot of people, whilst they respected Kovalev, didn't probably think that he had the fight IQ, which he did manage to display in large parts during this fight. And a lot of people also thought that Ward was probably going to, outclass him massively. And I'd heard that argument being made. And after having watched the fight, it's very close. It's incredibly close.
100%.
It's definitely a need for another one.
So who wins?
In the second one, I know I said this before, but I think I'm going to go back to Kovalev. I think that he would have realized that he had an opportunity to maybe kill the fight early on, especially in the second round when he knocked him down.
Yes.
And Ward was clearly struggling at that particular point. But I'd spoken about it with one of my friends, and this is just my very rudimentary knowledge of boxing. But, Kovalev has always been one who likes to walk into his opponent as he's actually hitting them, and then he resets back to the center of the ring. And the thing being that it seemed that it hit Ward and then almost hesitated when going for the kill, whereas as Ward was against the ropes. And I think that there was probably a missed opportunity, and he probably would have felt that. As one of the things he did say at the end of the fight is, look at me, I'm perfectly fine. But it wasn't about that. He lost out on points because obviously Ward hit the percentages, maybe not the numbers, but definitely the percentages of blows. And I think that he'd want to right that. And he knows that he has the power to actually knock him down. So I think that maybe he'll be a little bit more efficient in the rematch.
Oh, interesting points there, Cedric. So thank you very much. If you can stay on the line, we're going to be discussing Walters versus Lomanchenko later on. But we're going to switch to another caller. So thank you very much, Cedric. And 081, we are coming out to you now. Hi, 081.
Hello, guys. How you doing?
Hi, who am I speaking to?
You're speaking to Nicholas.
Hi, Nicholas. How are you this evening?
I'm all right. How are you guys?
Yeah, good.
Nicholas from last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Good. We like to hear that repetition.
Yeah, just to remember, I think you were saying you thought Ward was going to win last week, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's how I saw the fight was going to happen. I got to say, it happened more or less the way I saw it. Even though I was a little bit surprised, I thought that it would be close. I didn't think it would be that close. So definitely I give Kovalev a lot more props after the fight because I knew that he had the power. I knew that he could hurt him. And, and I did think that the only way he could beat him was by knocking him down. But I thought that basically when Ward would suss him out and, adapt to his style, that he would be more dominant than more dominant towards the end of the fight. So even though Ward did come back and win, it was pretty tight.
Yeah.
But.
Oh, okay.
In terms of styles, Nicholas, whose style do you think dominated this fight? I mean, do you think Kovalev fought his normal fight, or would you say this is how Ward normally fights? And would that be one way of looking at who actually won this fight?
Well, the thing is, I think that Kovalev just fought his fight, and he probably hasn't come across the fighter who can adapt to other styles as good as Ward does. And I think that's where his downfall came, because Ward obviously struggled the first few rounds, right? Obviously with the knockdown and everything. But to me, how I saw it is after he knocked down and after he waved past the difficult second round. After the third round, to me, like from the fourth round onwards, he stepped up a gear and he kind of sussed him out. And I think Ward is one of those fighters similar to Mayweather in the sense that they need a few rounds to fill out the opponent. Yep. Once they do, then they decide, okay, which style am I going to attack him on? Am I going to go with him this way or am I going to go with him that way? And I think once Ward did that, especially from the fifth round, to me, I think he really stepped up a gear. And Kovalev, to me, didn't seem like he had another gear.
Yeah.
So, that's why I saw that Kovalev, you know, the style, he didn't have a plan B, basically. Whereas Ward has a plan B, C, and D. So, and that's why I eventually won him the fight, because...
And that's why he's so great, would you not agree, Nicholas? That's why he's respected as being a pound for pound and a technically gifted fighter.
100%. And that's why, because even the way he beat him is not the way he won a lot of other fights that he won previously.
Yep.
And, you know, he was given a lot of heavy blows towards the end, which is not really his style. His style was, even though he was working the jab, as he usually does, and gets his point with the jabs, but a lot of those body shots really, really hurt Kovalev. And I think that's what slowed him down in the later stages.
Definitely.
Not a lot of people are really seeing that, but I saw a lot of body blows on the in the
So, Nicholas, sorry to cut you, but we've got a few other callers, but I do appreciate you calling in. More than welcome to stay on the line and join us for the conversation around Lomanchenko and Walters. But we're going to be coming out to another caller. So, 772, we will be coming out to you now. Hello.
Yeah, hi. Hello.
Hi there. Who am I speaking with?
Gary Logan.
Hi, Gary Logan. Good, thank you for calling in. The Gary Logan, it's an honour. Gary, we're discussing the Ward versus Kovalev fight, as you would have been listening.
Yeah, I've been listening.
So tell me your thoughts on the fight.
It was, it's so funny. People that tend to pay attention to so-called big fights and big events, some of them who don't know boxing as well as obviously that we do, they were a little bit they weren't, how can I say, they weren't blown away by the fight. Mm-hmm. But for me, as a purist, with the two styles that were coming together on that night, I was absolutely enthralled to see who would be able to employ the better game plan. I knew that Kovalev was a better boxer than many people gave him credit for, and he certainly showed that in the early rounds. It was just the way he was feinting, the way that sometimes he would lead Andre into uppercuts that would sometimes land, and very often later in the fight miss. Led me to believe so. The way that he leans in with his right hand and comes back with a jab very quickly, just does a lot of clever things. And plus, his coach is a really good coach. John David Jackson's a really good coach. So I wasn't disappointed in the fight in any way. And it didn't go the way I thought it would initially go. I thought that Andre would win a lot clearer, but I still had him winning.
Okay. And do you have your scorecard?
I had it 115, 113. So it was pretty close. But you know what? As I said to everyone, and I mean, some of these people on Twitter and Facebook, they've been losing their minds. It's like they must have caught Ward. It's like they must have caught Ward in bed with their sister or something.
Or the mother, maybe.
Really, get over it. Get over it. It was a close fight. And when they said 114, 113, I said, yeah, that's pretty much close. That's pretty much close to what I've got. Mm-hmm. And if they'd have raised Kovalev's hand, I wouldn't have been screaming, because it was that close a fight. Yeah. It was so much down to interpretation. But the fella that spoke just before me, he nailed it. He knows boxing. He was seeing what I was seeing, that the body shots from rounds, the body shots that Ward started playing from round 5 onwards had taken their toll. And not only the body shots had taken their toll, the fact that Kovalev had decided, because Kovalev's cabinet decided to negate Ward's inside work by holding and wrestling. Now, he's never ever done that, Kovalev, in any of his fights before, because he's been busy battering guys at range. He's been busy battering guys at range. This time he couldn't even land on Ward so much. So, obviously, when Ward got inside and wanted to do his work, Kovalev then negated it by wrestling with him. But that's very fatiguing, especially when Ward's still getting through with body shot.
No, 100%.
So that's another thing that I don't think a lot of people, and this is no disrespect, right, to most people. Boxing has a lot of fans, but boxing doesn't have a lot of people that know boxing. Yeah? The people that know boxing were the people that were involved in boxing. And that's no disrespect, because like, I've got a lot of Premiership football friends. When I stand and talk to them about football, I realise I don't know football like how I think I know football.
Very good point.
You understand? And that's the real. Boxing relies on fanaticism. Football relies on fanaticism. People being a fanatic about the sport. Without the man in the street, the games don't survive. But just because you've got an opinion doesn't mean that it's as informed as somebody that's lived it. It just can't be. When I want my car fixed, I don't go to a plumber.
That old adage. Yeah? So I think, Gary, Dinez, one of our panels, got a question for you.
Hey, Gary. Well, with that being said, obviously here we know Gary Logan knows boxing, so I would ask you, but that second round is what people that think Kovalev won usually point to. That was the game changer there, right? He got a 10-8 round there on all three scorecards. Because of that, do you think in the rematch that we're anticipating, I think it's fair to say we're anticipating that rematch, do you think Kovalev's going to come looking for not only the knockout, he's been, in his view, he's been knocked over by the judges, he's going to come out looking for the knockout. Is he going to come with a style where he's, I mean, if he knocked Ward down a second time in this fight, surely there would be no debate here and Kovalev would have won.
But the fact is, and as if you follow me on Twitter and Facebook, I hate if, I hate would have, I hate could have, I hate should have.
I've seen that before.
Yeah. And that's why we need the trilogy. No ifs, no buts.
It gets me mad. They are irrelevant. He didn't. He had an opportunity to keep landing on Ward. He didn't take it. Third round, Ward won. Ward got back into the fight in as early as the third round. So then after that, by round 6 onwards, 6 and 7 onwards, Kovalev is throwing punches in 4s and 5s. You can watch it again, and he's missing 4s and 5s. And he's fatiguing. I'm not saying that he didn't land, and the rounds that are very close. And you could say as a champion, because he's still throwing lots of shots, and he might miss 3 or 4, Ward might hit him with one jab, then it's all down to interpretation. It really is. But the fact is that the guy said, the guy before, the African village, said, if he'd have steamed in, who knows what would happen. But the fact is that he didn't, and only he will know why he didn't, because we've seen that in plenty of his other fights, where when he got someone hurt, he is one of the most devastating punchers in the world. I truly believe it's because he realised he couldn't hit Andre as easily as he thought he could.
And so, Gary, just a question for you. And obviously, you touched on Kovalev's coach, John David Jackson. He is respected. He's got a lot of other fighters in his stable. But I'm going to say, from my point of view, I wasn't impressed with what I saw from the corner in between rounds. I didn't hear his voice. I didn't feel that he kind of gave him any energy. And in the contrast, you look at Virgil.
There's something not... as good as John David Jackson is, there's something not right with the camp, and I noticed that around about the 3rd or 4th round. Now, Kovalev was listening to a Russian guy in his corner, more than he was listening to John David Jackson.
Exactly.
In the Hopkins fight, we heard John David Jackson's voice a lot. For some reason, there's something not gone right in the camp, and the winner on that night, as well as Andre Ward, was Virgil Hunter, who I thought was amazing. I thought the way that he brought Andre back into the fight, he spoke to Andre in a way that only a man that has a close and trusting relationship with a fighter can do, because I've had fighters in the past where if you raise your voice to them, they clam up, they shut up.
Yeah.
And I mean, they shut up. Actually performing, it shuts them down.
Yeah.
Whereas Andre's a real man, and he was man tool that Virgil Hunter gave him. He was like, why'd you get off the game plan? What's the matter with you?
Yeah.
This is not the way I plan the fight.
Follow our dreams. This is what we came here for.
Yeah, this is what we came here for.
Yeah.
And that told me that Andre had tried to go in too soon.
Yeah.
You know, I think the fight was scripted, that they was going to let Andre start coming on when he did, which was round 4 to 5 onwards. You know? I thought Virgil Hunter was overwhelming, and I thought John David Jackson had a really bad night at the office.
Gary, can I just ask a quick question? What did you think of Dan Raphael and some of the scoring in America by Harold Lederman, etc.?
I've never respected Dan Raphael ever.
I think a lot of people think that.
Any reason? You want to give us any indication? Nothing. I swear he was a former boxer. Butterbean.
I don't think he's a good enough journalist. I don't think he knows enough about the game. I think he's a journalist that lucked into boxing.
Yeah.
There's plenty of them. There's plenty of guys that have gone to journalist school. They don't really know about the subject they're talking about, but they choose to cover it. And all of a sudden, they're making a living out of it.
Yeah.
But he's no doyen. He doesn't know the game. He's never been around real people that fight. You know what the problem is? He's not been around enough knowledgeable people for him to learn from.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with journalists. I find that with a lot of journalists. What journalists should do, they should attach themselves to guys that have lived a life.
Yeah.
To
get a better understanding.
And I'm not saying all journalists don't do that, because I know a fair few that do. But he is certainly one of them, and I find his journalism quite vulgar. I find it quite dismissive of fighters' abilities and what fighters go through to be fighters.
Yeah.
You know, I really resent people that say, who've never ever boxed, that say, yeah, he can fight, and he can't fight, and he's rubbish, and he's good. What do you know? What do you know about the nuances? You know? And, a good friend of mine, Spencer Fearon, always said, until he meets someone, when he speaks to a man in the street and say, yeah, Anthony Joshua's this, and Anthony Joshua's a dog pollard, and I ain't shitting, I'm not crapping on Anthony Joshua. He's a really good fighter.
Yeah.
But I'm just using him as an example now. You talk to the man in the street, Anthony Joshua is all they know. They go on like there was never a Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
They go on like there was never an Evander Holyfield. And you say to them, well, he doesn't do this quite well enough. They go, nah, he's got a win, and you know. And you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Do you actually know the nuances of a left jab? You know, could you explain to me now what a left jab is, how I use it? Is there different ways I can use it? If you can't do that, then you don't know boxing.
Yeah. And those are very valid points. Very valid points there, Gary. So, Gary, we've got a few other callers on the line. I'm very pleased that you could call in. We're going to be discussing the Matchroom card and the Lomanchenko Waters fight. So, if you're happy to stay on the line, and we'll definitely come back to you again soon. But do appreciate you calling in and giving this platform the needed publicity.
Lucky because it's Thanksgiving Day, and I always watch NFL football.
Gary, thank you for calling in.
Cheers, mate.
Okay, cheers. So we're going to be coming out to 985. 985 on the list. We're coming out to you.
Hello there.
Hi, 985. Who are we speaking with?
You're speaking to Daniel Appiah.
Hi, Daniel. How are you doing? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Hendon in northwest London, just at work at the minute, and just tuning into your show, which I have to congratulate you guys on, which I think is absolutely fantastic.
Perfect. So, Daniel, did you watch the Andre Ward Kovalev fight last week?
Yes, I did. I had the privilege to watch such a great contest, which I was looking forward to for quite a while. So yeah.
Who did you predict to win, and who did you think won?
I predicted Ward to win.
Yep.
And I think this is an absolutely fantastic achievement by Ward. Ward won, to me, hands down.
Yeah.
I watched the fight, the highlights. I missed the fight, the actual fight live. I watched the highlights the next morning, and
and I thought that Kovalev got robbed because I only saw a bit of the fight. I fell asleep again. But after that, I saw the fight clearly, the full fight, no commentary, nothing to sway me. I watched the full fight with no commentary. And to me, after maybe the third round, from the fourth round to the end, Ward grew in confidence and controlled the fight. Like a champion does, got knocked down, got up, and he even knocked Kovalev down later on.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of pushing, shoving, but yeah, he showed his strength.
Exactly. He weren't getting bullied. Kovalev was on his arse for a split second, and he was rattled. Ward won hands down, simple. And if they have a rematch, Ward will win again. And if they have another rematch, Ward will win again.
So Ward's got his number.
Ward's got his number. Ward's got Kovalev in his pocket. He's got him in his pocket. Yes.
I like that.
He's got him in his pocket.
No.
Come on.
Yeah,
he grew. As the fight got on, he grew. Yeah. Kovalev didn't have the energy, the fitness. He had nothing. He didn't have a patch on him.
Dan, I've got to say, I love the passion, mate.
Daniel, you're speaking to Dinaz, who's a Kovalev, who believe Kovalev won.
Is it Vinaz? Is that the name?
Dinaz.
Yeah, that's my name. Yeah.
Vinaz, nice to meet you, mate.
Good to meet you, Dan.
That's how I feel. Yeah, nice to meet you, mate. I've heard so much. Like, everyone's got their own opinion about the fight, saying Kovalev got robbed. To me, he weren't in it. After he smelt blood when he knocked him down, and he should have capitalised and knocked him out. He should have capitalised and knocked him out. That's what he should have done. And he didn't, and he lost the fight. And he's there saying after the fight, this, that, he got robbed by Americans. No, you had the chance to win, you win. No excuse. To me, Ward, hands down, champion, great champion, and that's it. Ward won, fair and square. And if they rematch again, it'll be the same. It'll be the same outcome. Trust me.
Yeah, Daniel, it's NM. I completely agree with what you're saying. You know, I think by the third or fourth round, Ward had worked out Kovalev. I think in a rematch it'll be even easier. And the reason we say this as well is because, you know, one thing we have to congratulate Ward for, he didn't get knocked down a second time. Yeah. You know, Kovalev has KO'd most of, practically every single one of his opponents, and he didn't do that to Ward a second time, and he adjusted. And in the next fight, I think, Kovalev, Ward has worked out the range that he needs to fight at. He knows how to get into Kovalev's head, and he done a fantastic job.
Yeah. I will say this, and Daniel, if you listened last week, last week I had picked Ward to win, but I did feel it was a true 50-50. I have to say, depending on Kovalev's mindset, I still think it can be 50-50, because if Kovalev just says, I cannot beat this guy on points, it's impossible, so I'm going for the knockout, and he hunts him down the way he did in the first and second round and just piles the pressure, I think it makes another interesting fight. And this is why, going back to your point, it was a great contest. There was between people that are in the industry, promoters, boxers, said either fighter won it. So, I think this is the fight that has grabbed, the guy who doesn't always watch all of the fights, the guy who's been maybe put off by Mayweather's style and his dominance. I think this fight has brought those kind of fans back to boxing. So, Daniel, thank you very much for calling. We're going to move on to another caller now. But yeah, really do appreciate your call, and we'll speak soon. So we're going out to 036. You're on the line. Hello, who's speaking?
Hello, my name's Mohammed. I'm calling from Essex.
Hi, Mohammed. How you doing?
Mohammed, you all right, mate?
Yeah, well, thank you. Well done with the show, boys. Tuning in for the first time today, but interesting fight on the weekend, so I thought I'd call in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
What do you think about fans saying this was a robbery, and the kind of criticism they're making regarding the three American judges? Do you think Kathy Duva dropped the ball?
I don't think it was a robbery at all. I think he could have gone either way. When I was listening to the judges come up, I thought it was a very, very close fight. I thought if it went to Kovalev, I wouldn't have been disheartened and said that it was a robbery. It obviously went to Ward. It was a very close fight. So I think the people who are saying it was a robbery and stuff don't really know what they're kind of getting themselves into when you're saying remarks like that. And I think Gary Logan said the remark, people don't know F about boxing. I think he was touching on Roger Mayweather there and his famous quote. But from where I saw it, I think Ward. I think a lot of people have shared that same view here. I think Ward kind of took control after the fourth to sixth round. Kind of started kind of taking control of the fight, etc. But to be honest, I was more amazed at how Ward kind of let himself into the second round, into that kind of that situation. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed at how Ward kind of approached it. But again, like the gentleman before, a true champion actually kind of sees his way through and kind of adapts to the fight.
No, 100% there. That's a good point. I mean, you spoke on his heart that Ward showed, and you know he really, we say figured out Kovalev's game plan, but in fact he implemented what he wanted to do a lot more. So that was really interesting. So Mohammed, in terms of a rematch, do you want to see a rematch, and who wins?
I would love to see a rematch. I think in the next rematch, I think Ward's is far too clever. I think that's the worst kind of performance I've seen Ward kind of been in. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe that's a bit too far saying that, but
I think it's a valid point.
I think I don't know. If you look at Ward previously before, one of the main things that I saw was when Ward jumped into that ring. My God, like Kovalev was huge.
I know.
Like, that was a big jump for him. So understandably, when Kovalev was leaning all over him and stuff, that could have taken something out of it. But one of the best performances I've seen Ward is when he fought Froch. Now, all right, a couple of years ago, etc. But very, very disciplined and very, very stuck to the game plan. But what happened? It was just a bit of like heart and passion. Him kind of getting caught with that knockdown was like, wow, right? Did that really happen to a Virgil Hunter fighter? Do you know what I mean? Someone who's kind of, that's his prodigy. Do you know what I mean? The Ward's, everyone's gone to Virgil Hunter because they've seen how Ward is so tight with his defence and etc. like that. And it was just a bit shocking to see him go down. That's what captivated me and captivated a lot of my friends when they're watching the fight.
Yeah, we also got to bear in mind, Mo, I mean, this is his full fight coming out from the super middleweight division, you know, because of his exceptional talent. You know, this guy's been putting a lot of pressure to move up, you know, something that we haven't seen being applied to Triple G, for example, you know. And this guy, you know, he got knocked down once, but, you know, one thing is Kovalev's got clear size advantage, in my opinion. You can see it, it was visible. But, you know, Kovalev's knocked out all other light heavyweights practically. So that in itself just shows the talent of the guy.
Definitely.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think it was quite smart how obviously Andre Ward kind of grew into the fight and stuff. But again, that's a true champion. That's someone who's developing themselves into the fight and adapting. But one thing I want to say, what's going to happen with Adonis? Like, Adonis is calling out everyone here, there and everywhere. I think he's the chump in that lightweight, that weight category. So what do you guys think about that? What do you think that Kovalev goes? Does he fight Ward for a rematch, or do you think he goes straight into Stevenson and kind of deal with him?
So I think in terms of Ward, he's already made some comments around Stevenson and effectively dismissing him. So I think, does that fight happen straight away? Maybe not. I think the fight that could happen if a rematch doesn't take place straight away, I could see Kovalev actually maybe put in a bit of a bid burst or offering a good amount of money to Stevenson for that fight so that he has a belt, and then his bargaining power to chase down Ward to do a full unification is a lot stronger. I really hope Ward takes this rematch straight away, because I think there's, whatever we say, you know, the boxing community is split. So I hope he takes this straight away. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it'll be a great fight going on. I think Ward will be far more smarter.
Yes.
I think in the next one, very, very tactical. I don't think it'll be as close as this one was, but to be honest, I think Ward is in an era or kind of a division where I don't think his greatness will be shown. Do you know what I mean? After Kovalev and Stevenson, who else is there for Ward to fight? What else is there for him to do? Do you know what I mean? Like, where do you think the division goes after this?
I think, what do you think?
Well, me personally, I think that just pushes the idea of a trilogy even further, because I know it's a bit preemptive to be talking about a trilogy before the second fight's even been announced, but I think that's what we need in boxing. We need more of these series like Marquez, Pacquiao, like Hearns, Robinson. Back in the old days, that's how they used to do it. There was always a rematch, because we don't even know. It could come out next week that Ward was suffering from an injury, or you know, I never like when they announce those things after the fight, and I'm sure the fighters feel the same. But that's why it's so interesting that we see a rematch, that we see how these guys, these two great fighters that arguably are top of their division, how do they adjust? What does Virgil Hunter say to Ward going forward?
So, Mohammed, sorry to have to cut you. We've got a couple of callers in the line, but I appreciate you calling in. Again, thanks for listening and dialing up, and hope to be speaking to you in the future.
No worries. Thank you very much, boys.
Thank you. Take care. So we're now going out to 855. We're coming out to you. Hello? Raps on TV.
Hello.
Hi, who's speaking?
Hi, it's Aziz speaking.
Hi, Aziz. How you doing?
I'm alright. Finally got through.
Sorry to keep you waiting. We've got a few people on the line, so it's a hot line this evening. But we're here talking about the Ward Kovalev fight. Aziz, did you watch this fight?
To be honest, I didn't actually see it, but I was just listening to like friends talk about it.
Okay.
And just before I got into boxing, just want to say you guys are really doing a good job.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that.
And for someone like me, I obviously I watch boxing,
mm-hmm.
but I'm not actively involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
A casual fan.
But that's not an insult on casual fan. But yeah.
I myself was a casual fan until very recently. There's nothing wrong with being a casual fan. Yeah. You watch the big fights. You enjoy questioning about boxing.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, absolutely. I just like the hype about it. One thing I don't really like, though, is that sort of hype you get, and then the actual fight comes on, and then I'm kind of disappointed about it. Do you know what I mean? I want it's cool pound for pound or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like blood to be on the floor and stuff. But I don't get something like that. So I get a little bit disappointed. So
I will say this, Aziz, sorry, carry on.
Say that again.
No, continue.
Yeah, I just get. Do you know what I mean? I want like proper the way boxing used to be back in the days, like Tyson and stuff. They come to put their heart into it, and then they make him very entertaining. But nowadays, I just see people not putting their heart to it.
Yeah.
It's like they're just thinking about the money, and they're thinking, okay, what's that other fighter the other day that almost got himself killed? I can't remember, but
there's been some incidents in the past, and I think in terms of boxing and how it's appealing to the masses out there, I think start watching it a bit more and understand some of the technical abilities of these fighters. I do appreciate you want to see blood and guts and gore, but you do find you see that more on the lower or the wrongly opposed fight. So it's a mismatch, or two fighters that are not of the highest caliber. I think if you look in history, even if you go to Sugar Ray Leonard, Hagler, these top fights, even Lewis Tyson, they go to the later rounds, and that's because they're on edge. Both fighters have a reputation. They do not want to lose, and in their mind, they're thinking, you know what? I know the hype about this guy. I'm jumping into the ring with him, so they stand off and are a bit cagey, but they are engaging at probably a bit more of a technical level, So when you see a fighter throwing 3 hooks, and you just think, what's that? What is he doing? That's nothing. You've got to understand that he's opened up the opposition fighter to get those shots in, and those are the little, as our earlier caller said, the nuances that you need to pay attention to. But definitely, we take that on board, and thanks for calling, Aziz. So keep on the line, and we're going to be moving to another caller. Cheers. So we're going out to 010. 010. It's your time to talk.
Hello, hi guys.
Hi, who's this?
It's Solomon on the line.
Hi Solomon, how you doing? So Solomon, you watched the Ward Kovalev fight?
Yes, I did. I managed to watch the fight. I have to say, this fight's taken up most of my week, arguing with people.
Yeah.
Day after day, I'll get another one coming along who thinks Kovalev won the fight by a mile. And it's the usual conversation you have with people who don't watch boxing so much.
Mm-hmm.
People like us, we probably watch the sport a bit more closer than other people, and I can understand that. But I think the whole social media outrage. It's just, to be honest, I've just decided to stop listening to it and stop watching it now because it just got boring. I've looked at the fight. I watched the fight a few times now, actually. I watched it the first time. When I was watching it live, to be fair, I was shocked early on when Ward went down. But having said that, the first round, Kovalev caught Ward with a jab, and he kind of shook him, and I thought to myself, hold on a minute, that power is definitely there. He can feel that. And it kind of worried me as a Ward fan, because I'm not going to lie, I did watch it as a Ward fan, and usually when you're a fan of one fighter, you tend to give them the closer rounds. And I think that's probably what I did the first time I watched it, because I had Ward winning by about at least three rounds. Watching it back and giving some of the rounds back to Kovalev where they were a bit close, and I thought, okay, let's give him that round. I still have Ward coming out one round on top. So with it all said and done, if you've got Kovalev winning by a round, I don't mind that. But to say it's robbery is just crazy. And I don't know what you guys think about the whole calling it robbery. And, you're just making a mock of a big fight in boxing where I know the judges generally do bad, and we had a fight on the night which was really bad in terms of judging. But with that one, I think it was very close. I think the whole hype about the bad decision needs to just go away now, and I think they should just get on with the rematch.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Salman. I personally had it for Kovalev, but you hit the nail on the head. It was so close. It's a matter of a round, maybe 2 rounds, that decides the contest. So, it's interesting. We both have different opinions on the outcome of the fight, but we agree that it was so close, and a robbery is really far-fetched at this point. So,
Salman.
Because I went back and looked at some of the stats of the fight, and it's interesting. And I know boxing, boxing is much more than just punches landed, for example. But when you do look at punches landed by round, it's 6 rounds each. Mm-hmm. You look, and then obviously so just as a basic stat, which doesn't tell you everything, but just as a basic stat, 6 rounds each. And when you get a robbery, it's much wider than that. Robbery is something like Bradley Pacquiao won, for example. That's what you call a robbery. Yeah. In this case, it wasn't a robbery. Looking forward, I have to say I agree with some of the guys who called in earlier. I can't see Kovalev beating him, even in a rematch. I just think he caught Ward early on. Ward was shocked to the power a little bit. I still think Ward's a little bit ring rusty over the time he's had off. Kovalev's been really active, dominating in the division. The size difference was apparent in the ring. And I think when you take all that into account, Ward is going to be much more stronger come second time round. He's going to be expecting that power. He knows if Kovalev decides to use that sambo wrestling on the inside, he will tire again. So I just can't see how Kovalev can adjust to beat him unless he catches him and knocks him out. And even then, to be fair, I thought Ward mentioned that he wasn't hurt with the punch and stuff. I did think it was quite a decent knockout in the sense that I don't think it was just a flush knockdown. I think he did get caught, but he managed to get over it, and that makes me think he can certainly take the punch. And I do reckon the rematch will be much more one-sided. I think Ward won quite easily. But in all honesty, I'd actually prefer if both fighters had a different fight each before they went back for a rematch. Yeah, good point. I know contractually that's not what it's set down in the contract, but if they both agreed to it, I would like to see Kovalev fight Adonis Stevenson, and Ward would have to then also have a fight to stay busy. And as much as I don't, particularly want to see the fight, I don't mind him fighting Nathan Cleverly. I don't mind him fighting a guy like that where, he'll win, but they give him a chance to sort of, get into the division a little bit more, get rid of that ring rust on, go a few rounds, and then the same way they both can pick up some more belts. I know he's only a regular belt with Cleverly, but maybe Kovalev can get Adonis' belt, and then they can fight again with every single belt on the line, and I think it'll be a much bigger fight.
No, 100%. So, listen, Suleiman, thank you very much for calling. We're going to be moving on to another topic now, so we're going to discuss that topic, but stay on the lines, and we'll come back to the phone lines to get some commentary. So, guys, we can see, or we know that this Saturday we're going to have the big Matchroom card, Big City Dreams. Katie Taylor's headlining. Ohara Davies is on the co-main event. Inam, do you want to just tell us about the Davies Scarpa fight briefly?
Yeah, I mean, been following Ohara Davies for a while now. Amazing story, amazing background, how he's got into boxing, the kind of issues he's had in his life. Yeah, and I was just really rooting for the guy. This is. I mean, he's on the edge of becoming a star. You can see Matchroom really behind him, really starting to promote him now. He's got a really strong KO ratio, and I just think it's going to be a late stoppage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Late stoppage.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a new. So he's going to potentially he's going to be the silver lineal champion, right?
WBC
yeah,
silver belt, yeah.
And what do you make of Scarpa as his opponent? You think is in terms of his caliber, do you think he stands any chance to cause an upset? He's slightly taller. The reach, could it play into his hands? I don't know if you saw the press conference footage, but he really seems up for it. Any chance for him at all?
I don't think so. And this way Ohara was saying in the press conference as well. He's got this guy's number, you know, and I think he will probably dominate this fight.
Yeah.
I think Ohara is probably a few levels above John Wayne Hibbert, who was Scarpa's previous opponent, who Scarpa knocked down.
Perfect. And also on that card, we have Katie Taylor. So that's Matchroom's first women's professional bout that they're going to be televising, especially as a main event, which I think this shows the kind of progress that we're making within boxing, not just for males, but also for females. Last weekend, we had Clarissa Shields in probably the most entertaining fight of the night outside of the Ward Kovalev. She won her fight by decision. Really entertaining, so I really hope that we get to see more and we get to see a lot more good caliber boxers within the women's divisions. So quickly moving on, we're going to be discussing the Lomanchenko versus Walters fight. So this is where we have the Ukrainian, I won't call him a beast, but we have seen that he definitely passes the eye test. For me, this is a fight that has probably been boiling up. Lomanchenko has been wanting to take on the big boys, and Walters, for whatever reasons, had kind of delayed this fight. They say it's money. I do think in Walters' mind, he's thinking, this guy is offering me a fight and he's 4 fights into his career. I'm 25 plus into my career. I'm the A side. And I think it was a bit of the egos at war here. So in terms of this fight, Lomanchenko versus Walters, are you excited for this fight, Inam?
I am. And it's almost like the equivalent of the Kovalev and Ward fight, in the sense that you've got a big puncher in Nicholas Walters versus supreme technician. So I mean, I look at it in quite similar terms. If you look at Walters' KO, got something like
Walters is high
in the 80s, 8% KO ratio.
Easily, yeah.
So 78%. Yes. I think the fight will probably pan out quite similar to the Ward versus Kovalev fight. Mm-hmm. Walters got a massive reach advantage over Lomanchenko, so Lomanchenko will have to take that into account. I think he's going to have to really work on what kind of range he fights at.
8-inch reach advantage.
8-inch reach advantage, yeah. So and I think what's going to happen is Lomachenko will probably be cashing Walters quite frequently, and in the late rounds, I think that's probably going to tire Walters out. And I'm going for a late stoppage
by Lomanchenko.
By Lomanchenko, yeah.
Perfect. Dinaz, even if you don't want to give a summary, do you want to say who you see?
That fight? It's definitely Walters is definitely not a pushover for Lomanchenko, but we do expect him to win. It'll be good to see how that fight turns out and what's next for him. But let's not get ahead of ourselves like we did last week.
Last week, you don't want to be called Mystic D.
Yeah, I want to keep my title.
I'm going to quickly go out to the phone lines. If you are listening, we're going to keep it brief because we do not have too much time left in terms of broadcast. So I'm coming out to 561, and I believe that's Cedric.
Yeah.
Hi, Cedric. Do you want to just quickly touch on the Lomanchenko-Walters fight and give us your prediction?
I didn't know too much about Lomanchenko before this week, and I'm genuinely excited to see someone with his skill set, his footwork, actually get in the ring and fight someone who, like Walters, was a brutal puncher, it seems. So in my mind, I'm probably going to go with Lomanchenko because what I've seen of him looks really impressive.
Perfect. No, thank you very much for your call. And I'm going to go back to Gary. Gary, we see that you're still on the line. Hi, Gary. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, mate.
So just a quick one. We're going to be talking on Lomanchenko's Walters. How do you see that fight and who wins?
Tough fight. I would just go with Lomanchenko because, I mean, grade is great, isn't it? I mean, the guy's just been a phenomenal amateur. He's been a very, very good, in such a short space of time, he's already become one of the world's pound-for-pound fighters. But in this Jamaican boy, you know, don't underestimate him. He does whack. He's going to be keen on the fact that he only needs one shot to start landing. 8-inch reach difference is massive, which means Lomachenko to land is going to have to, you know, he's going to have to get into range. And when he gets into range, he's got to bring that chin with him. So, you can't sleep on this fight. Anything can happen. Looking at Ward's record, he doesn't tend to knock guys out late. Yeah. So I think if it's not done if he's not started nailing Lomachenko by about 8 rounds, then you got to say that Lomachenko will go out a points winner.
Yeah. And, you know, I just want to touch on a point you said there, Gary, in terms of this is not a fight to be sniffed at, and it is a tough fight. I'm just going to put, this is to the panel as well, I'm just going to put a scenario out there. And we look at Lomanchenko, 100%, you know, he's got great movement, you know, his ability to counter shots, he slips really well. There's a part of me that's saying, could Walters be able to stifle him? And the reason I say that is because you look at the Salido fight that Lomanchenko actually lost. I think he lost because he wasn't ring smart enough. Granted, it was his second fight, but he wasn't ring smart enough. And then you look at Gary Russell Jr., that was a majority decision that he won, but he went 12 rounds. And when you look at that fight, you know, Russell was able to kind of at times impose his strength, but be active enough to have Lomanchenko slightly fighting on the back foot and then countering. Whereas, you know, we've seen some dominating performances for him. So do you think there could be an upset? Because, you know, if you listen to Twitter and Facebook, it's a clean sweep for Lomanchenko. Do you think there's...
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's definitely Lomachenko's toughest fight to date.
Yep.
Without doubt. This kid, he's hungry as well.
Yeah.
He's really hungry. He wants, you know, he wants a really big payday. He knows that knocking out Lomachenko guarantees him that, and he really heightens his reputation in boxing. He's somewhere in between what Salido did cleverly by smothering Lomachenko, roughing Lomachenko up, and having sort of, but he hasn't really got Gary Russell's smarts. Gary Russell's a very smart fighter. Walters is somewhat a little bit more crude, but very much on the same sort. You know, he's crudely effective. I should say. So, you know, he's got to rely on. I mean, from what I've seen of the pad work, I mean, I see a lot in pad work. He does look like he wants Lomachenko to come in so that he can unload on Lomachenko as soon as Lomachenko starts letting shots go. The only problem with that is that Lomachenko doesn't stay in one spot long enough after throwing a shot. He tends to use the angles really, really well. So it really does depend on how well Walters deals with the angled movement of Lomachenko, because Lomachenko basically keeps forcing guys to keep resetting by the way that he punches and moves off, angles off. So, there's a lot of questions to be answered.
Gary, very, very quick question. If Lomachenko wins, do you think Top Rank will give him an opportunity to fight with Pacquiao? And is it potentially a passing of the torch fight?
When I heard that, I was like, well, Pacquiao fights at 147, doesn't he?
Exactly.
So, the lightest he can do is 140, maybe 142. So Lomachenko going up, another £10? That's insane. I can't get my head around that fight. If they were closer in weight, I could. But is Bob Arum saying that Pacquiao's that far gone? Or Lomachenko is already outgrowing the junior lightweight division and he's going to jump 2 divisions? I don't understand it.
And to that point, Gary, you know, I think if you look at Bob Arum's stable, I would much rather see Crawford versus Pacquiao than Lomanchenko, because that's going to put question marks on what type of a catch weight would they fight at. It's going to be a disadvantage for one of them.
Exactly.
So
we don't want to, we've already had farcical mention of a
Exactly.
McGregor Mayweather fight.
Yeah.
We don't want the Lomachenko Pacquiao thing to go down that road. The better fight for me in Pacquiao's future, although it's a fight I think he loses, would be Terence Crawford. And Lomachenko, there's a lot of good fighters at lightweight. If he's going to go up again, go up to lightweight.
Yep.
A lot of good fighters at lightweight.
And below.
Sure, our boy Terry Flanagan would love to have a go with him.
100%, and he's making a defence this weekend as well.
Yeah.
So Gary, listen, we're coming towards the end of the show, so thank you very much for calling in, and thank you for everybody to calling in. We're going to lead into the wrap-up, so Gary, take care, and we'll speak
Gary,
soon.
thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling in.
No worries, bro.
Cheers, man. Speak to you soon again.
So guys, I think, it's a great show, good podcast this session. About to go into the wrap-up. I think, to summarise what happened this weekend, I think I'm going to say boxing is alive again. The reason I'm going to say that is that, the controversial decisions has got a lot of people talking. That wasn't the only fight on the weekend, and I'll touch on that later. But I think boxing is back because we had Clarissa Shields fighting. Now we're moving into this week. We've got a big fight under Matchroom. Frank Warren's also got a promotion. And within the week, we had the deal announced between Box Nation and BT Sports, which means that boxing is going to be televised and broadcasted to the masses. So, Inam, what would you quickly say on a wrap-up?
Yeah, I think I'll completely agree with you. It's been, there's been a lot of polarisation within the boxing community. It's got people talking, everyone's talking about the controversy. If there's no actual controversy, but I would agree. Boxing's back alive.
Yeah. So to wrap up, I'd say I'll keep it short and sweet. Really, I'm saying I want to see a rematch, Ward Kovalev. I want to see it before next year, the summer of next year, should I say?
Okay.
And I just think this Lomanchenko-Walters fight, it's pretty much in the bag for Lomachenko, and I'm risking my title there by saying that, but I just point to the fact that Walters hasn't fought in, I think it's about 11 months, maybe even a year. I've got to double check that, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of challenge awaits Lomachenko after that. But that's my wrap up.
Yeah, no, just to your point, Walters hasn't fought since the end of last year, so you're definitely right on that. So one other thing before we go to all our listeners, we just want to say, we know boxing is a gruesome sport. Last weekend, unfortunately, we heard the incident about Eddie Gutnick, who was admitted to hospital after the George Groves fight. So we're sending our well wishes to him and his family and hope he recovers soon. But on that note, it's Wraps on TV, and we'll speak to you soon and hope to have you listening next week.